Welcome to the Susu Annual General Meeting. We actually have our Susu banner behind us. How cool is that? It's really old. I don't know if you can tell. Plus, I don't really like the colour. So, we're going to start off by appointing a deputy chair for this meeting. That's going to be the president. And if he ends up being in conflict when I obviously have a conflict, we'll have to find someone else at that point. Tellers, we will only actually appoint if they are needed at any point throughout the meeting. Hopefully, they won't be, because it's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. Right, guys? Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so how this meeting is going to work, it's slightly different to previous times in that we'll actually be voting on the website. So if you do not have a phone or a tablet or something, please do say so, and I'm sure someone will be able to find you a phone or tablet or something to be able to vote on. Cool. So we're going to get started by looking at the minutes of the previous meetings. So first off, we have the minutes of last year's annual general meeting. Does anybody have any problems with the minutes of last year's AGM? No? Good. Okay, if you could all head online and place your votes now to accept the minutes of the last year's AGM. And it's susu.org/change. And then they should, if that doesn't take you straight to it, there's a link to vote now. susu.org/change. Okay, has everybody voted? I'm getting a general yes as a consensus. Okay, we will now close the voting. Are you doing it? Okay, cool. Cool. So, congratulations! The minutes of last year's AGM have been accepted! Yay! Cool. And now, we have the minutes of the general meeting on the 27th of October. So, does anybody have any problems with the minutes of the general meeting from the 27th of October? No? Good. Okay, if everyone would go ahead and vote. For to accept them, against to reject them. It's kind of, yeah. I'll give you all a minute to vote. Democracy in action, folks. Democracy in action. Has everyone voted? Has anybody not voted, rather? Okay, can we please close the voting? Congratulations, the minutes are accepted. Woo! Let's have a brief round of applause that we got through that little challenge there. Okay. So does everybody understand how the voting system's going to work for the AGM? We may change it up a bit for Open Council, just to keep things interesting. Cool. So we're going to move now on to the receipt of the annual reports. We have the receipt of the annual accounts and the report of the trustees for the year ending 31st of July 2014, and approval for the affiliations from 2013 to 2014. Again, if there are any problems, speak now. That's 2 separate votes for these guys, so make sure you do vote for them twice. Well, not vote twice, vote for each one. Okay, so if everyone could please vote now for, yeah? Where is the list of affiliations? In the annual report. Affiliations. Right, if everyone could please vote for those. Has anybody not voted? Okay, so we'll close first off the accounts and report be received. And that is received. Congratulations. And then on the approval of affiliations, which we will close. Has everyone voted on the list of affiliations?
We have the list. Not on here.
Cool. And the affiliations are approved. Yay! So now another vote on the receipt of the impact report. Don't you just love that we're getting the fun stuff out of the way first, eh? If anyone has any questions, please do speak now. If not, please do go online and vote for the receipt of the impact report. Has anybody not yet voted? Fantastic. Yep. And the impact report is received. Woo! Yeah. Get excited, people. This is fun. Are you people not enjoying yourselves? Anyway, we'll move on to the appointment of auditors. So it's proposed to appoint Crowe, Clark, Whitehill as auditors for a further 3-year term. If everyone could please go ahead and vote on that. Has anybody not yet voted? Please do raise your hand. Okay, so close. And the auditors are appointed. Thank you very much, guys. So now we have our very first speaker of the meeting, obviously apart from myself. I know you're all very much enjoying listening to me natter on about rubbish, but someone else can have a turn now. So, resolution on political expenditure. David is going to come up and explain briefly what this actually is. Okay, 2 minutes.
I will be really very brief. We're basically legally obliged, and we have been for a few years, that we only actually realised this year, which is why we had the general meeting, to vote on whether or to basically allow the union to make spends on political expenditure. Voting in favour of this doesn't mean that we will then start spending money on political expenditure. Any of that would still have to go to trustee board to be approved. It just allows for the opportunity to do that should something happen. Who knows, maybe the referendum will be moved forward from 2017 to 2016. Maybe we're going to want to do something with the council elections. All of this will go through the proper processes. But unless this general meeting votes to allow us to do that, we can't. We can't do any political expenditure for the year. So please, vote for this. You're not voting on us spending £10,000 on political expenditure. You're just voting to allow us to have the opportunity to potentially do that later in the year. It's just a legal thing. Please vote for this. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, David. Would anybody like to give a speech against at this point? Fantastic. So now we'll go straight on to the vote. Turn off. Thank you. Okay, if you'd all go to the website, the little voting box is there. So if you would like to potentially, maybe, possibly be able to spend some money at some point on something, please do go ahead and vote. Yes? Don't worry, I wouldn't leave home without it. Okay, if everybody has now voted, please do close the voting. And it is passed! Yay, congratulations guys. Okay, so now we come to the election of the Chair of Council. Now, as happened last year, the voting is currently open at susu.org/vote. So if you've registered as a proxy vote or are in fact here, you can go on to susu.org/vote and vote for the Chair of Council. Now, we've actually got the candidates in today, or we have one of them definitely. So they're going to now have a chance to come up and give a speech to you all. So we'll start with Jade. You have 2 minutes. Okay, and your time begins now.
Hi everybody. I've been to 23 union councils in my time here, and during the past 4 years I've only missed one of them, and that was my second one during my time here. And why? Because it was so daunting that I didn't want to go back. Everybody seemed to know each other, the language used was really complicated, it was incredibly hard to follow, it was so formal, and it seemed like the idea of a non-union councillor attending was pretty alien to everyone. The structure of union council has changed since then, however it still faces similar problems. I have lots of ideas of how to improve it, which you can see on my manifesto. It's 1,500 words long, I heard it's quite a good read, and how to be an effective and engaging chair of council. However, ultimately I see council as needing to reform in order to ensure that it is relevant and engaging to the entire student body, not just those, for example, who are in this room today, which of course I do with lots of student consultation. During my time here, I've held many roles within the union, and council has been a constant to me, and so now I want to take a more active role in improving it. I was first elected to council in my first year here and sat on it as a student leader in my second year. However, being a trustee has meant that I've not been able to be a voting member, but I've still continued to attend. I know what works well, and I know what I do to improve in both its current and future forms. I've got lots of experience of chairing as well from my time as Societies Officer, chairing Societies Committee and on Debating Society for 4 years, chairing many heated debates. There's a few key areas which I would look to improve. For example, policy. Writing policy is pretty hard. I've written several and I still find it quite difficult. I would work with students to turn their ideas into policy. It doesn't have to be long or complicated, just a clear statement of what should happen. I think the fact that there was 120 ideas submitted to this and only 13 of them have made it into policy kind of shows that. I would also work to improve praise and positivity. Accountability isn't just about scrutinising officers and asking why they haven't done things, but it's also about praising them and the other volunteers for the amazing work that they do. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jade. Now, our other candidate for Chair of Council was invited along to this meeting, but unfortunately has chosen not to attend. So, obviously, without him being present, we can't have a speech, which is a shame. But please do go online and check out both the manifestos and make an informed decision. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the AGM. Round of applause, guys. We got through it. Cool. But don't worry, it's not over yet. We now have Open Council. Yay! Okay, so we now move on to Open Council. Can I just get a quick consensus from the audience? How are we feeling about the online voting system at this point in time? Is everyone happy with it? Can I get a brief show of hands if you're happy with the online voting? And if you'd much rather do it on cards of everyone in the meeting. Okay, what we'll do is we'll put a vote online. I think from that we're going to stay online as it's more even for everyone as well that couldn't be here and is watching on SUSUtv, who as always are doing a fantastic job broadcasting live. Hashtag shameless little plug for SUSUtv there. Okay, so minutes of the previous meeting. So we've got the minutes of the Open Council on the 14th of May 2014 to approve. Now, do we have any corrections or points from the minutes that anyone would like to point out? No, fantastic. So if you'd all go online and then make your vote, have your say, change one thing. Anybody not yet voted? Okay, we will now close the voting on accepting the minutes. And they are accepted. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so now we've got matters arising from the previous meeting. So all the points that went to the meeting last year, the relevant sabbatical officers are going to come up and give us a quick little speech about what is happening with the policy and or the thing that happened from the last meeting. I know, real technical terms right there. Okay, so first off, we have Industrial Action by University staff with Sophia. Sophia, please come up to the stage.
Hello. So we have had to use this policy this year. It went well, we used it effectively, I think. Some of the bits were less clear to understand, but I feel like the team interpreted it in the way it should have been held, and because it will go to the union, our education zone, our president who wrote the original policy was able to attend and make sure it was actually used in the way it should have been used. So, thanks. Is that okay?
Thank you very much, Sophia. Next up, we have creation of a platform to permit direct questions to sabbatical candidates in the elections with David.
Sorry, I have my mouth full when you were saying that. I think I'm good. So we did this year. We had a really good number of people asking candidates questions, both through the formal method and informally. I'd say that this is something that we've done and has worked. So, good job.
Thank you, David. And before you run away, you're up next again with stop charging for debit card use in Susu outlets.
I suppose, in short, this is going to be on the agenda for the next trustee board.
Thank you, David. And come back up again for new seats for the cube.
I don't even have my thing counting how many steps I'm doing, so this is all worthless.
Would you like us to
calorie
pause the
burning.
meeting for you to go get your pedometer?
No, we're good. So new seats in the cube. We're currently still in negotiations phase with the university about sort of the exact spec, because we're hoping to do a bit more with the cube than just the seats, and then also how much of the costs are brunted by who. I mean, the system's going to be expensive. We're talking about at least £120,000. It seems to me that what would be wise would be for us to get as much money as possible from the university to help us with this. By the end of this academic year, we should have that answer. That's the timeline the university have agreed to. So this should be happening as soon as possible. Am I up next, or am I good?
You are up next as well, yes. Delivering for our student groups with a bank of Susu.
Yep, okay, so this is still going to be going ahead, and when our new Director of Operations comes into post, they'll be able to lead on this project.
Thank you, David. Preventing censorship in Susu. Again, with you.
Once again, we've had no complaints of censorship this year, so I suppose this is working.
Thank you, David. You can now take a seat, because
Thanks,
it's
Ben.
Ellie next with Reforming the Evas.
Hello everyone. So I've changed the way we chose the shortlisted and winners for the EVAs this year, our Excellence in Volunteering Awards. I think it was really effective. I was as transparent as I could have been about the process that was undertaken to choose those who were shortlisted. It involved the external trustees for the first time, which was really exciting. And if sabbatical officers made a nomination, they weren't able to have a say on that nomination as to whether they were given an award or shortlisted for it. So yeah, I think it was an improved way of reforming it. And yeah, I was really pleased with it. I hope you were too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. David, please come back up to talk about sabbatical term limits.
Sure, so this was for the VPDCI to work on. Other things came up as priorities. We've done some really strong reviews this year, and I think that the interested parties have been spoken to about this being slightly postponed and are happy with that.
Thank you, David. Next we have Improving Trans Inclusion with Becky Thomas.
Hi everyone, Sam Bailey, the E&D officer, and I have been working on this policy this year trying to make it happen. It's got lots of parts to it, so we've been talking to the university about the gender titles on their forms, see if they can sort that out in the student record system, and they're looking into it is what they've told us, so we'll see what happens and keep chasing them. We're putting sanitary bins in the male toilets in Susu to make them more gender accessible, and we've altered signage in the building where appropriate, so that pretty much covers everything that was in the policy.
Thank you, Becky. Sabbaticals on satellite campuses with Anjit.
Afternoon everyone. I think this has worked pretty well, and I'll even say we've gone above and beyond to go to international satellite campuses. So I think it's worked pretty well, and hopefully we can continue delivering like we have this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjit. Commitment to elections with Ellie.
Cool, so you'll probably all have hopefully seen or heard of the general elections campaign that I did. We spent just over £15,000 on it, and it was really worthwhile. I was really pleased with the results from it, and we did everything that I was mandated to do in the policy, apart from transport to polling stations, because it turned out to be too logistically unable to happen, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, we put on the debates. We did huge amounts of comms and marketing all across the city. So yeah, it happened.
Thank you, Ellie. Don't worry, guys, we're nearly there. Becky's up next with Ethics and Environment Policy.
Okay, hi again. So the E&E policy this year, last year it was kind of merged all 7 different E&E policies into one, so it makes sense now. And the Sustainability Zone have been working really hard to make it happen. We picked one area to focus on this year to actually implement the policy, and that was waste and recycling. So that's what we've been kind of campaigning on and looking at, and there'll be a different focus next year.
Thank you, Becky. Next up, we have Katie with swimming sessions for women only.
Hi everyone. I had a chat with Sport and Wellbeing about this towards the beginning of my term, and there was a few limitations with the swimming only sessions happening in Jubilee Sports Centre, but the Active Nation deal was sort of completed in October time, and the Keys swimming pool is putting on women's only sessions. So Jubilee have been directing anybody that wants to swim in women only sessions to them, which successful.
Thank you, Katie. And finally, we have David back up again, talking about the improved leadership and representation policy.
Sure. So this was resolved to go to the last council of last year. It did that, and it was passed easily with a couple of amendments, so that has happened.
Thank you, David. Sorry, just cramming. Yay, paper. Okay, right. Thank you very much to the SABs for that. Now we get to move on to the policy proposals, everyone's favourite part of the meeting. We've had a request for a reorganisation of the agenda from Giles and Sophia, who have to go to a meeting which name I can't remember, but it's very important. What? AQSC. So we're now going to do their policy first. Giles, as the proposer, would you like to come up and give a speech for? 3 minutes, yeah.
Cool.
Go.
Right, so this policy kind of came out of, so as you probably read from the policy, and you know, education zone is an activity zone, which means we do a lot of stuff, but we don't generally make policy. And when I sat down and I thought about it, that didn't seem to make much sense to me, because it would help if we had sort of a central direction in what it is we're trying to actually achieve. Obviously, we have our sort of aims and our goals, but this policy came out of a lot of discussion around what it is we actually do to improve students' education, and sort of the university has yearly enhancement themes, so they focus on specific areas of the student experience to improve every single year. So this really came out of that, and so the policy aims to do 4 main things. It's basically to get academic student representatives involved in improving student experience through sort of knowing about these engaging and innovative projects. It mandates Education Zone to really sort of get involved in these projects and make sure that students are aware of them and that we start making those improvements. It also involves surveying students at a local level to make sure we know what's missing from their degrees, or what they feel is missing from their degrees, and that we lobby the university to improve those areas and make sure that students are actually getting the best deal, so to speak, on their education. And it also sort of, I think the final thing is we kind of having an introspective view on what it is we're actually trying to do. So what is it that Education Zone really wants to see improving in people's degrees over the next few years? So I mean, I can go into more detail about it, but I think I will just close it here. If you have any more questions, you can always move to an informal discussion. I think Ben is now glaring at me, and I'm going to get off the podium now. So thank you.
Thank you, Giles. Okay, would anybody like to make a speech against this policy proposal? Fantastic. Okay, we'll now move straight to the vote then. So if you could all head to the website and place your vote. Need a countdown clock, that's what we need. Okay, has anybody not yet voted? We good? Okay. Okay, as we have your permission, we will carry on. Can we please close the voting? The policy is passed. Congratulations, guys. Yeah. Okay, now we'll go back to the original point on the agenda. Submission of dissertations and final year projects should be free. Jade, as the proposer, you have 3 minutes to propose your motion. Go.
So this idea came from a discussion with my course mates actually a couple of weeks ago, and they had their dissertations due in, and they were complaining about the high cost of printing. Printing dissertations, it varies. Some people tell me they cost them £10, some people say 15. One of my course mates claimed it cost 80. So it's quite expensive, and students spend many months writing their dissertations. For example, in politics, we had to have our proposals in by March of our second year, so it's a long time. You spend many hours writing it, studying, sometimes sleepless nights, and many weeks in the library, as any final year student will know. The weighting of this work is significant, and therefore I don't believe students should have to pay for this. The policy specifically says to lobby the university to ensure the submissions of dissertations and final year projects should be at no cost to the student, rather than that printing should be free, because I know that Shruti, as next year's VP Education, wants to work to push online submission, so this would allow pushing online submission instead. The mandate also emphasises the importance of education zone, which has also just been reinforced by passing the policy we've just passed. It's not a huge thing really, but this was the #1 ranked idea, which I think shows that little things really can improve students' experience. I think it's important that we do have policies as well that lobby the university, because sometimes our policies are very internally focused, and this one sort of looks a bit more externally. And I think it would be really strong for Shruti moving forwards next year to be able to go to the university and say, I've got this policy backed by hundreds of students from the AGM, and lobby for this change to happen. Right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jade. Now, would anybody like to speak against this policy proposal? No? Okay, we'll go straight to the vote on this one then. If you could all please head online and have your say. 300 votes. 297 is crazy. I should have said that. Have we had any more technical difficulties, or is everyone okay to vote? Okay, we'll now close the voting. Congratulations, policy is passed. Okay, it's been brought to my attention that I probably should have remembered to say how many people we actually have at the meeting, which I forgot to say earlier. So at the beginning of the meeting, we had 303 people present, so we are quorate. Yeah! Right, now, back to where we were. Yeah, well, I said at the start of the meeting. Okay. Change machines in halls of residence. Next, with Fraser as the proposer. Would you like to give a 3-minute speech? You have 3 minutes.
Thank
Go.
you. Hi everyone. So the reason that we've brought this policy proposal forward is because we believe that having change machines installed at halls of residence would be good, because it would be more convenient for students living in halls, especially when it comes to doing laundry. Washing machines and tumble dryers unfortunately don't give change. They require the correct money, and often university halls of residence, the receptions won't give change either. Doing laundry is clearly something that's essential to most students on a regular basis, and not having enough change when someone wants to do laundry can be inconvenient. It's frustrating because it means they either have to go out of their way to get change or wait until a different time, and in busy periods in particular that might not be convenient for them. It's also clear that there are alternative, simpler ways for students to pay for their laundry than the method used at present, and this policy will mean that as a union we'll be encouraging the university to look at a range of methods so that students can pay for their laundry in a way that is convenient and hassle-free for everyone. And I think that this would benefit a large number of students, living halls. I hope that you'd agree, and if you do, please vote for this policy proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fraser. Would anybody like to speak against this motion? Okay, we'll now move straight to the vote. So if you would head online and cast your vote. Has everybody managed to vote? Done? Okay, cool. Anybody else with problems? No? Cool. Can we close the voting? Congratulations, the policy is passed. Yeah, round of applause. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, next up we have longer opening hours for Susu during the holidays. So this as proposed by Fraser and separately by Fiona Davey into one combined policy. So Fraser, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. This proposal says that Susu should be open for longer during the vacation periods. We've got literally thousands of students that remain in Southampton throughout the holidays who may wish to use the union's outlets and facilities, including postgraduates, international students, alumni, undergraduates, and of course the hundreds of pre-sessional students that arrive in Southampton before the start of each academic year. To ensure that we cater for students all year round, surely Susu and its outlets should be open to these individuals too. After all, the union is here to provide services to its members, and sometimes these services may indeed come at a cost. Some holidays will of course be busier than others, and this proposal results to explore the financial viability of opening the union for longer during the vacation periods, and to investigate each holiday and various times during these holidays separately, because demands may of course differ. Above all, we should investigate these demands with full and open student consultation in order to find out what students actually want from their union, and do our utmost to deliver accordingly. I'd ask you therefore to vote in favour of supporting this proposal. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Fraser. Now, would anybody like to speak against this motion? Okay, then we'll go straight on to the vote. If you could all, once again, head online. Okay, anybody not managed to vote on this one? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the voting. And the policy passes. Congratulations, guys. Round of applause. Okay, next up we have make Susu less corporate and more student run. Do we have Nick here? Oh, there you are. Cool. Come on down, Nick. You have 3 minutes to propose your motion.
Hi everyone. So I've brought this policy today because I think we have a bit of a problem with the culture that exists within Susu towards commercial and operational areas. I think that recently it feels like they almost avoid student consultation. I don't think this is anyone's fault that this has happened. I think it's just something that has evolved, definitely over the 4 years that I've been here. And it's something that we should tackle. And this policy aims to do that. I think the most recent example is probably the grab ball. In the last few days, there's been quite a lot of people posting about that, quite upset about the lack of consultation here. And you can understand that if they're graduating, they want to have a say in how their graduation party is going to be run. A lot of people experience Susu with commercial and operational areas, and that's why I think that they really should be at the same kind of standard of involvement that everything else is. Because Susu does a lot of things very well. So I think we need to rethink this attitude. We have a lot of student talent, and we should use this as much as we can. I've done union films for the last 4 years. We put on loads of movie marathons. That's all been student run. Again, I think someone said, why not ask the Performing Arts Societies the grab ball instead of S Club 7? And there was that We the People policy as well a couple of years ago. And 2 years later, we don't have anything public to show for that. And I can feel that if there was more student volunteer effort put into developing that, we might have had something a bit sooner. So the resolves of this policy are to try and make a culture where students and student groups have a lot of opportunity in the planning and production of events and services, and that also we engage as much as we can throughout projects to collect suggestions and publish these so people can see how their suggestions were considered. And finally, a lot of the decisions takes place in closed meetings, which is understandable, but I think the results of these should be made public, and the decisions that are made can be seen by students. I know we had a breakdown of the expenditure over the general election campaign. I think that's really good, and we should have more of that sort of thing in the future. I don't think this policy is going to solve this problem at a stroke, but I think it's a good first step, and I hope you'll give it your support. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Nick. Okay, would anybody like to speak against this motion? Okay, we'll go straight on to the vote. If you could all head online and have your say. I must say, guys, I'm coming up with different ways to say go online and vote, so if you have any suggestions, please do let me know. Has anybody not yet managed to vote? Yeah. Cool. Okay, we'll now close the voting. And the policy passes. Congratulations. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, next up we have student groups should get priority over external companies as proposed by Jade Head. Jade, if you'd like to... Okay, Fraser, if you'd like to come up and give a 3-minute proposal. Go.
Okay. Thanks. The student groups are the lifeblood of the union, helping to unlock the potential and enrich the lives of students. They really are at the very core of what SUSU does, and what it does. The union has over 300 student groups, reflecting the diverse interests of its students, all of which are run by volunteers. It is roughly estimated that over half of students are part of at least one club or society. These groups put on a wide variety of events on throughout the year, such as celebrations for religious festivals, awareness campaigns, cake sales, and events simply just for fun, engaging with thousands of students. We believe that these groups should be given priority over external companies in terms of booking and using union space and resources. We acknowledge that from time to time, the union enters contracts with external companies and that these must be upheld. We also recognise that there are many ifs and buts with this policy. For example, if an external company has booked space in September and a student group asks for the space in January, who should get priority? Therefore, we also resolved to bring a further policy to the last council of the 2015 calendar year to include the finer details of how this policy will work and be implemented, as we don't have all the answers here right now, but I think we can all agree on the basic principle. Furthermore, we recognise the importance of student enterprise and therefore mandate the Vice President engagement to look into the possibility of giving student companies priority over external companies when booking and using union space. Thank you very much. Please vote for this policy.
Thank you, Fraser. Would anybody on the off chance like to speak against this policy? No? No, sure. Okay, if you'd all head online and vote again, please. Has anybody not managed to vote yet? Still waiting on a couple of people. Is everybody good? Okay, if we can go ahead and close the voting. The motion passes. Congratulations to Fraser. Okay, ensuring better provisions for students working in 24-hour study areas. Fraser, this is you again. Would you like to come up and give another speech? I feel we're getting a DMW situation again, up and down, up and down. Okay, you go.
Okay. Hi everyone. So this policy is designed to ensure that with study areas that are kept open during the evenings and overnight, there are better provisions in place for the students working in these areas. For example, in the Murray building, the public workstations are open overnight between Mondays and Fridays. However, the provisions that are available during these times are considerably less than those that are available during the day. Once the doors to the cafe area are locked, students cannot access the water fountain or the vending machines, and the toilets often lack necessities such as soap and toilet paper, and they're sometimes unclean. Also, the Hartley Library is open every day until midnight, and during exam periods, it's open 24/7. But again, once the cafe closes, there is not really anywhere to get anything substantial to eat. Given that many students are paying thousands of pounds for their university experience, having better provisions in 24-hour study areas would surely be a worthwhile issue on which to lobby the university and encourage them to take action as quickly as possible. Ultimately, I think this is something that would have a positive impact on students' lives, and I would ask you therefore to vote for it. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Fraser. Okay, would anybody like to speak against this motion? Okay, straight on to the vote it is. You know the drill. Straight onto the website. Press the button. Okay, has anybody not yet managed to vote? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the voting now then. And the motion passes. Congratulations. Okay, so because this technological, nonsensy, cool stuff that's making everything go so much quicker is making everything go so much quicker, we're going to stop now and have a very quick break. There should be pizza available very shortly for anybody who would like that. So we'll take 10, 15 minutes? 10, 15 minutes, and then I'll probably start nattering again through the speakers when I want you all to come back and pay attention once more. So go enjoy drinks and things. Matt, music. Okay, we're going to start up again now, so if everyone would like to take their seats, we will go. So it's still on with the policies. Next up, we have supporting our societies through funding for events. Now, this one was proposed by Stephen. So, Stephen, oh, look, he's really keen, massively on it. Okay, when you're ready.
Hello, everybody. So this idea basically came out of a society who came to us at Union Films to run an event and didn't get funding for it. At the moment, if societies want to run an event, they have to apply for one of the other funding pots, but they are not suited for specific events. Excuse me. Most of them should go for essential funding or capital development or something else like that. So the idea with this is essentially to create a new funding pot, especially for events that societies could apply to, and that it should be available, should be much more flexible than the existing funding structure, so they could apply throughout the year as and when required, because some events do occur quite successfully with very short amount of time planning. So hopefully you've all read the policy, and that's the basics, the bare bones of it, so hope you vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, we have an amendment for this policy, which I believe is going to be proposed by Stephen. Okay, this time you only get 2 minutes, so keep it short.
So after I submitted the policy, I found out there is currently work in the pipeline to make the funding process slightly more flexible, and so the amendment, which is written by David, and I'm sort of endorsing in many ways, is to basically make that sort of make the adjustments to reflect that essentially. So that the pot will be available to all groups, and that it's especially for event planning, and that essentially it's all in the amendments. You can sort of see it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, now would anybody like to speak against the amendment? Okay, then we will take the amendment to a vote. If you would all head online. Everybody get ravey. Close the voting. Wasn't that fun? That made it more interesting, didn't it? Thank you, Matt. Round of applause to Matt who found that for us. Okay, so the amendment passes. Congratulations. Okay, now would anybody like to speak against the policy itself as amended? Okay, then we'll go straight back to the vote. Matt, you know what to do. Maybe he doesn't. Yeah.
What show is this from?
Countdown. And the policy passes! Yay! Congratulations. Okay. Next up we have Susu should improve its communication, as proposed by Jade Head. Jade, please come on down. Once again, you get 3 minutes, as you're well aware, having been up here, what, 5 times already?
I don't think quite that many.
When you're ready.
So basically this policy is quite simple. Susu, I personally think, has a bit of a communication problem. It should do better to improve its communications with its members on things like what it does, what it actually offers, its services, its successes and its achievements. SUSU does offer a huge amount to students and does a lot very well, but often the majority of students aren't actually aware of these offerings or what the union can do to them. Many students aren't even aware of what SUSU is, and many don't even understand that it's separate from the university. By improving its communications, we feel that SUSU can improve its image and the perceptions of it, and it will also help improve its offerings, and students will actually be able to use the services that are provided to them because they'll actually know that they're happening. I often hear in meetings and conversations with various students, well, that's just because of a lack of communication, that's because of our communication problem. So SUSU should actually probably do something about that rather than just talking about it. We've resolved that an action plan is created to ensure that there is actual progress on this idea, and it will be thoroughly informed by the student consultation. The VP engagement will be in charge of this, and they will decide the exact length of how long this plan should take. And again, yes, it should be thoroughly informed by student consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jade. Would anybody like to speak against this motion? Sophia. Our first against speaker. Congratulations. You have 3 minutes.
I'm obviously not against the actual policy, I'm against one of the details. I'm a little bit concerned that to improve how we consult and communicate with our students, we are consulting students. I feel like that might be a bit of a flaw. We're worrying about how we're communicating with students and how so a lot of the time communication is consulting them, but we're using student consultation to get to that point. And I feel like there could be other ways we could do that, like having ideas and discussions in council. I just feel like the student consultation bit could have been fleshed out a little bit more and kind of more detailed. But otherwise, yeah, talking about how we can improve our communications with students, talking about how to improve it with students makes sense. I just feel like a year down the line that might not be very clear to people who are involved. Otherwise, I'm completely in support of this policy. I think it's a really good one.
Thank you, Sophia. David. Procedural motion B. To take the proposal in specific parts, would you please come up to the table to explain which parts? Dun, dun, dun.
Sure. So,
David, up here, please.
Oh.
So we know what you're actually wanting to do.
I think it's resolves 2.
Yeah.
No, so resolves 3.
Okay.
So just the bit that Sophia was talking about, just so we can discuss it. Yeah.
Okay, David, you have, hang on, let me find the actual time. I can't remember because we haven't done these in a long time. 1 minute.
Well,
okay, go.
Because it's not an AGM without a procedural motion, and because I think that there is certainly some room for conversation over this specific part, so this is what Sophia was just referring to in her speech there. It would be good to take it in parts so that Jade can properly discuss what she means by this, and maybe we can then have that vote as to whether or not we actually do want to keep that bit in there.
Thank you, David. Would anybody like to speak against procedural motion B, to take the motion in parts? Just to clarify again that it is to take resolves 3 separately. Let me put that back on the screen so you can actually see. Okay, so we'll move straight on to the vote for this procedural motion. You guys know what to do. Huh? If you all quickly refresh your pages, it should appear. Okay, so the procedural motion passes, so we'll be taking resolves 3 separately when it comes to the vote. Okay, now as we've had 2 speakers, would anybody like to speak for this motion again?
No, against the parts. We're debating resolves 3.
Really? Yeah. Okay, so now we're just debating resolves 3.
The question is resolves 3 be removed.
Really? Yeah. I thought that was just... Okay. So the question now is, resolves 3 to be removed. Would somebody, David, as the procedural motion proposer, would you like to? Yes, you can. A minute, 2 minutes.
Okay. My personal opinion is that resolves 3 should be far more detailed and structured. I feel like having an action plan would be obviously very useful, but I feel like we should have a lot more mandate over how that would be designed. For us, an action plan could be, right, we're interested, right, we've got to this point, we're having a conversation with 10 students, and right, we've done it. That's just not good enough. I want to see a lot more detail and have a lot more guidance for the education from the people who want this policy to go through, just to give them more support, and so it actually delivers what we want it to deliver, and we're not here this time next year being like, do we know more about SUSU? Do we have a bit more about awareness of its services? When we're the only people in the union who probably do know all about its services. I'd rather make sure we're going to different sites and that's all explicitly mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Would anybody like to speak against removing resolves 3? Yep, please come on down. Again, you'll have 1 minute to make your speech. Case. Words. Go.
Thank you. Everyone knows I've been banging on this drum for a while about communication and how we should improve it. I think the resolve as it stands is open enough to allow the timetable to develop naturally. What I'm scared of is that the resolve will disappear and then it will be forgotten about, like so many other things. I think that consulting the students who we are struggling to communicate with is the exact thing that we should be doing to help improve our communications issue, not ignoring them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Okay, would anybody like to speak for again? No? Okay, cool. So we'll now move to the vote on removing resolves 3. Okay, so if you all head online. You may need to refresh your pages, but it will be there. Has anybody not yet managed to vote? Okay, we've got a couple of people still, so we will wait for them. How are we doing, guys? Any success yet? Okay, everyone voted? Fraser says no. Fraser says no? You done? Okay, fantastic. We will close that there. So there were 9 votes for removing Resolves 3 and 13 against. So Resolves 3 stays in play. Okay. Yeah, let's have a round of applause. That was quite exciting. The first actual discussion we've had. It's good fun. Okay, so now we'll go on to taking the policy as a whole once again. So, at this point, would anyone like to speak against policy as a whole? No, we had the proposal for. Oh yes, sorry, my bad. Anyone like to speak for? And do we have any against to counter that? Okay, as we do not have any more against and we do not want to have an uneven debate, we will move straight on to the vote. Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Summation, yes. Oh, Jade, would you like a 1-minute summation? David, would you like to give a 1-minute summation, please? Remember, no new information can be introduced at this point. It's just a summation.
I know.
Cool.
I think that this policy is right. We do need to improve our communications with our members, and this policy will make sure that we work to do that. I completely agree with Jade and Leon, and I think that you should all vote for this and make sure that we're mandated to improve how we communicate to our members.
Thank you, David. Okay, so now we will move to the vote. I know what I'm doing, trust me. If you could all head online once again, and hopefully we'll get the countdown music. Yeah! Okay, results. The policy passes. Congratulations, guys. Okay, up next we have trialling a 24-hour gym. So, do we have Chester or Flynn, the proposers of the motion here, to move the motion? It does not look like we do. Would anybody else like to move this motion at this time, opening it to the floor? Okay, as we have no one here to move the motion, we will go straight on to the next policy, which is more emphasis on the importance of master's courses and support of these students. From Catherine, I'm guessing she's not here, and Sophia's going to propose. As no one was here to move it, what? Yeah, it falls automatically because nobody was here to actually move the motion. That can definitely be arranged, yes. Okay. Yes, do we have Catherine, procedural G? Hang on, where's my card gone? To challenge the chair's ruling. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, so as your... oh no, there's no chair. Yes. Would you care to appoint a temporary chair, David?
You see, usually at this point I was going to appoint Katie, but obviously this is going to then be about sports, so that doesn't feel appropriate. I'm going to appoint Ben Franklin next year.
Okay. Ben Franklin, please come up to the stage. Yeah, so that's on a minute already.
Hi everyone.
The order for procedural motion debate is there.
Okay. Talk to me, Jory. Lay it on me. David, would you like to make a speech for procedural motion G?
Sure. So the exact ruling that I'm speaking against is that which means that this won't be discussed. It won't have the ability to go anywhere. I think we need to do more to engage with our members, and I don't want this to be the end of the road for these people. I don't agree with the policy. I do believe that something should be done. I'd therefore like to speak against the chair's ruling with the option to then move this to sports development zone so that this can be properly discussed in the future.
Sorry, David, can you wait a second?
It's not a chair's ruling, it's enforcement of the rules.
They're going to tell me I can't. It's not a chair's ruling, it's an enforcement of the rules. A proposer of a motion is required to attend and speak on that motion. If both proposers are absent, the motion shall not be debated.
There's no ruling to overturn.
There's no ruling to overturn.
Fair enough.
So Ben can resume.
So Ben can resume. Heel.
Thanks, that was so much fun. You bring me one.
Now I'm going to have to talk with my mouth full. Okay. Oh, wasn't that exciting? Right. Where were we? More emphasis on the importance of master's courses and support of these students, which is to be proposed by Catherine Castles. Do we have Catherine here? Would anybody in the floor care to move this motion on Catherine's behalf? More emphasis on the importance of master's courses and support of these students. Yeah, David, please come up. You will have 3 minutes to propose the motion. Your time starts now.
I feel like this is dangerous without the motion in front of me.
Hang on, I can get that. Let me pause your time while I...
Cheers.
Where's my mouse gone?
Yeah, Scott gave it to me.
Okay, David, go.
I think that it is true that at the moment our focus is largely on undergraduate students. Now, undergraduate students do make up the majority of our membership, but proportionally, we probably do still fail postgraduate students, both postgraduate research and postgraduate taught. Now, though this motion is just about postgraduate taught students who are probably actually, at this point, easier to deal with in our current structures, we should be doing something to make sure that we are working with that. And therefore, I think that it is important that we vote for this motion and make sure that we have in writing something that says that we will ensure that master's courses are better represented by the union. So thank you very much. Please vote for this motion.
Thank you, David. Okay, would anybody like to speak against the motion? Sophia, come on down. You have 3 minutes.
I feel like this particular policy wasn't specific as to what we should be improving. More emphasis towards lecturers, same priority as undergraduates with lecturers, careers and department in the union. I've got to admit I don't understand what that really means. Our career services for all of our students. And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to look at very specific services they do, like CV services, and say, right, how much is that geared to an undergraduate and how much is that geared to a master's? But improving our career service in general, I don't think that's something I can fairly agree for, because I think it's actually quite a strong career service, and maybe it should be more about the way we advertise, work with the university to advertise these services. Don't get me wrong, master's students deserve fantastic representation. Currently our academic representation systems, sometimes PGT work on their own basis and have very fit with PGRs, which is quite a controversial conversation. Sometimes I have a number of PGT students who are part of my rep system, so they're faculty officers or academic presidents, and so we really need to have more conversation.
Sorry, Sophia, I'm going to have to pause you there. Sam, which procedural motion would you like?
Which one's that?
To refer the question to another body or person. Which other body or person? Sorry? Right. Oh, really? All right. My bad. I'm very sorry, Sophia. You can carry on. I've still got your time, so my bad. Carry on.
Absolutely, postgraduate students make up a significant portion of the university. I completely agree with that. I'd far appreciate having more of a structure and support system behind our PGT officer, for instance, and go and kind of have that sort of auditing of kind of what do we provide for undergrads, what do we provide for PGRs, where is the gap in the middle, what are we doing for PGTs and what aren't we doing? And I can guarantee a lot of those questions will be, there is a gap there for PGTs. There's a lot of services that we don't tailor for PGTs in the same way. That's not to say this policy is structured enough to help that. So I'd much prefer it go to our PGT officer or to education zone with the PGT officer, because he now sits on our zone fabulously. and we have a discussion there. But currently this, if it was me carrying on with this to actually try and improve things for PGTs, this wouldn't give me a lot of help, unfortunately. But the principle behind it I completely agree with.
Thank you, Sophia. Okay, now we'll take procedural motion C from Sam. If you'd like to come up. Which body or person would you like to move the question to? Education Zone. So it's a proposal to refer the question to Education Zone. Sam, you have, hang on, 1 minute. Go.
I know there's some work going on with the PGT and PGR officers at the moment looking at postgrad students' experiences at the university and in SUSU. I think that would be the best place to do it, because obviously this policy shouldn't really take effect as it is, because it doesn't really comprehensively cover what we need to do, but it can add into their work. So please vote to move it to Education Zone.
Thank you, Sam. Would anybody like to speak against referring the question to Education Zone? Okay, so we'll go quickly on to the vote. If you would all head to the website and use your touch screen or your mouse and click or tap the relevant area that should be highlighted, if it's all worked. Anybody having any problems with this time? Sorry? Can you zoom out at all?
Oh, because I highlighted it, yeah. Just refresh the page. And I kill the highlight. That's the video.
Which one is it? This one. There you go. You should be able to get to it now. Okay. If it's covered up anyone else's screen, just refresh the page and it will appear in the main list of things. Ooh, knocking my microphone. Okay. Anyone else got any problems? Have we all voted at this point? Anyone not voted? Cool. Okay, can we close that one? And the procedural motion passes. So this will be sent to Education Zone Committee for further discussion. Okay, next up we have the Staff-Student Partnership Agreement Review. Alex, please come on down. Yeah. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, 3 minutes. Go.
So first of all, I want to stress that this policy does not propose any amendments to the existing SSPA. The existing policy mandates trustee board to carry out a review around now, but doesn't define how that review should happen. The mandate is part of what I want to talk about the amendment, because it wasn't doing referring between Ben and David about that part, how it should be worded. But the basis of it is that if passed, this review will ensure that both students and staff are consulted throughout, with a view to bringing the final agreement to the AGM for approval next year. I also want to add in that I did have some difficulty finding a seconder for this policy, not because anyone specifically disagreed with it, but because very few people actually understand enough about the SSPA and so didn't feel confident enough to talk about it. This highlights the big issue, but luckily Sam agreed to step in and so we're all good. But please wait to hear about the amendment before casting judgment unless you agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. As Alex says, we do have an amendment to this motion, which I believe is also proposed by yourself.
Yeah.
Let me just try and load it up on the screen. You have 2 minutes to propose your amendment. So, go.
Okay, this amendment follows some tough negotiations between Dave and I on Monday evening as to who should lead the student consultation element of it through the advisory group. But we reached compromise that fulfill the need for both leadership from the president and the need for student leadership in the form of co-leadership. The timeline also allows for council to be involved and basically ensures that the review does not drag on and gets results in a timely fashion. I urge you to accept this amendment because without it, we cannot discuss the policy any further, and this will probably end up getting forgotten about in ether and won't happen with a student consultation part in mind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Would anybody at this point like to speak against the amendment? Okay, as we have no one speak against, we will take the amendment to the vote. So if you could all head online, the magic pink box of doom will probably all be appearing on your screens. We're somewhat missing the countdown music now, aren't we? It's a bit late, Matt, don't worry. Has anybody not managed to vote on this one yet? Okay. Jenny, are you having problems? Done? Sorted? Okay, anybody else? Fantastic. Okay, we'll close the voting. And the amendment passes. So, thank you very much. Okay, now would anybody like to speak against the amended motion? So that's against the original policy with the changes made by Amendment D. Hang on, let me find my mouse. And yeah, that's the original policy back on your screens. Anyone against? No? Okay, so we'll go straight on to the vote then, please. If you all find the vote on your screenies. Music. Okay. We have a result, maybe? And the policy passes. So, congratulations. Yeah, woo! Thank you very much, guys. Okay. Now we're on to our final motion for this open council. It's time to rethink how we do democracy, reforming the union's democratic structures. Ben, as the proposer, would you care to give us a speech? You have 3 minutes.
Hi everyone. This is the first policy that I've ever proposed at SUSU. This is the first policy that I've ever proposed at SUSU because, like most students, like most of our members, I think in terms of ideas and things that I want to happen as opposed to the actual policy structure of how to make it go that way. And Union Council at present serves its members that know policy really, really well because it's an elected group of people who are all heavily involved and not so much those disengaged students who have the ideas. So this policy isn't here to replace council or to slate council, though I think there are lots of ways that council could be improved. This policy just suggests that within the next year, we trial systems that might better include those members that have ideas and ways to get involved that aren't currently included in the council model. So don't take this policy as a sort of an accusation against council or a move to remove it completely. It's just so that we can start looking at ways that we can improve our democratic procedures. So yeah, please vote for this policy. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Would anybody like to speak against this motion? But it's the last one, guys. Come on. Okay, straight on to the vote then. Drum roll, please. Our final policy of the day. Passed! Yay! Congratulations, guys. Woo! We made it. Okay, so any other business? We have not had any other business submitted, so we'll skip straight over that one. And that is the end of our meeting today. 2 hours. Not bad going, guys. Congratulations. Katie, can you come up here quickly for a sec? Sorry, guys, just one little thing we need to sort out. Jade, you had a...
And we just wanted to thank her for her hard work over these last couple of years. We have a card, but not on us. So you can have that in there when you leave in a few weeks' time. But thank you very much.
We give a round of applause for Katie.
Yeah, we just wanted to wish you best of luck for the future, and we'll make sure that card gets to you in a few days' time. Thanks, Katie.
Okay, well, thank you very much, guys. That's the end of our gathering here today. Is there any pizza left? There might still be pizza left, so if there is, you know, hurry up and get in there before I eat it all. The AGM will come back around roughly this time next year, so I won't be here. You know, I'm graduating. Yes! But yeah, that's the end of the meeting, so go home.